Now, my army of cats do generally live outside. They are barn cats most of the time. They take care of the rats and mice around the property, but a little somebody has been having a nibble on some flour left in the kitchen overnight, so I need to keep a little mouse catcher in the house for a couple of days and just cut down on things. Cut down on things that are sharing my pantry staples with my family. Hi, I'm Megan. I'm a mum to 6 living in New South Wales, Australia. We have a small farm here on a multi-gen property. We have 5 acres that we're trying to grow as much food as we can. At the moment, mostly focusing on livestock. We have cows and some pigs and chickens, so all those good things, and I will eventually learn how to grow a food garden as well. The gardening seems like the most difficult to me out of everything. I'm really inspired by people who can grow vegetables and fruits in their backyard. I think it takes a lot more work, commitment, energy, effort, intelligence, skills, wisdom, all these things that I never truly realized until I tried to grow my own food in the backyard. So, hey, I'm still going with that, and encouragement is very welcome. Now, I haven't done some baking for a little while here, but it just seems like something to, shall we say, soften the edges of the very long, sharp summer days. I'm sure that all the mums on school holidays with all the kids home know exactly what I'm talking about. And just getting into the kitchen and getting them involved with me seems to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. So we're going to enjoy some time together, and that fills their cup so that they feel like they can play by themselves for a little bit while mum gets on with other work. And also, of course, we get to eat something delicious in the end as well. Now, often when I bake for my family, I am just throwing things together that I know will taste good and cooking them, and everybody eats them. But this slice is so delicious that I'm going to put the recipe in the description box for you below if you want to give it a go at home. It is basically an ANZAC biscuit slice. And then I went and raided my chocolate cupboard, my chocolate shelf in the fridge, I should say, and got all the little bits and pieces that were left over and melted them down, and we drizzled it all over the top of this ANZAC biscuit slice, and geez, it turned out so good. I had a piece for breakfast this morning. A few of the kiddos did as well, and it's really like a chewy, chocolatey muesli bar. But basically, I'm going to make it the same way I make ANZAC biscuits, which is, of course, with the butter and the honey and the bicarb soda, and that's what puffs this up so much. And then I'm going to pour it into the dry ingredients, which were just flour, coconut, and some coconut sugar in there, and oats, of course. And I just put in a couple of mix-ins, so I think I had pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds at the time. We just stirred that all together until it was not dry. So I find that these slices, if I don't add enough butter, because there is no egg, they're not going to stick well in the pan. So I made sure that this was nice and sticky with lots of honey and butter, and then pushing that down solidly into the pan. And I made these quite thin, so it would be like muesli bars once cut. Baked that just in a moderate oven for about, maybe 20 minutes. And then the key that is so difficult for me as a self-confessed glutton or food enjoyer, it's really hard, but I have to let it rest until it's completely cooled. And that way, when I take the muesli bar out and cut it, it will not crumble into 1,000 pieces. Finally, the pasture is growing after some good, abundant rain, and I just hope there is more on the horizon so we can keep this going as we move towards early autumn. But we still do have another month of summer left, and we're trying to enjoy it with lots of time at the pool and the rivers and the beach, although I do tend to find those places, well, the beach, a little overwhelming at times. Really strong sunlight. It's a lot going on, especially with the little kids. And I find that in small doses, we can all enjoy the beach more so than a lot of it at once. So we'll fit in a few times over the summer, but the waterways, the rivers, are such a wonderful way to enjoy hot summer days. And living in far south, New South Wales, we do live in a temperate zone. There will be much cooler weather to come, and it is nice to enjoy, to feel like you're enjoying the hot, sunny summer days that feel so ubiquitous with the rest of Australia. It's nice to enjoy just a touch of that as well. And of course, the animals, well, they really do thrive on long, hot days. Not too hot, of course, but the warmer days, they thrive. We get plenty of eggs. The calves are growing well, and milk production is amazing, especially from Hazel. She's on her 4th calf now, and she's really hitting her stride as a mother and as a milking cow. She's a wonderful asset to the farm. But I have to say, Creamy, who was a bottle-fed baby and raised by hand, she was sold because her original owners just could not face, shall we say, putting her in the freezer. Although she was originally purchased for that purpose, being a dual meat and milk breed. She's half Frisian and half speckled park. And I think that raising cows in this way does turn them into a bit too much of a pet. And Creamy just has no fear of people. She's like having a large dog hanging around, and she's far too difficult on our farm fencing. We've now had to set up all our fences with electric just to keep her in. And you know, it's not my favorite thing to do with a toddler around and with preschoolers. You're just always anxious somebody's going to get an electric shock, though I suppose that will probably only happen once. It's not something I really do want to have happen, but I guess that's just the reality of keeping large animals and little people safe together on one property. Now, it is the day before grocery shopping, so my fridges are quite bare at the moment, but I have half a cabbage purchased locally. Some of the local places are doing some wonderful selling, roadside selling at the moment, so I am definitely jumping on those veggies whenever I can. And this half cabbage, what I love about cabbage, I can just buy it. It's like potatoes, carrots, cabbage. I can purchase it, pop it in the fridge, and it will still be good and ready to use a couple of weeks at least later, depending on how I store it. So having this cabbage sitting around is going to make this dish into a real nourishing meal for everybody. Now, I've just got some chuck steak here. This is just the Woolies grass-fed chuck. I find it really cost-effective way to eat a quality meat. I am going to slice this as thinly as possible against the grain. Now, I looked up some YouTube shorts or videos on how to slice meat against the grain properly, and it really does make a difference when you're using a cheap cut like this, but you want to stir fry it and have it tender and ready to eat in minutes. It works so well. Now, I'm using a velveting technique here, which is just a sprinkle of bicarb soda and nothing else. I'm going to put this thinly sliced chuck beef aside for as long as I can, and in this case, because I needed lunch ready soon, that was about 10 minutes. After I have velveted the beef in that way, I have to rinse it thoroughly. Basically, we're getting rid of all the bicarb and just pat it dry, and it is ready to stir fry. It really did make a huge difference in this quick to put together meal. Now, I am one to just experiment with stir fry sauces. I don't have sort of any experience or real wisdom in this area other than if I add together soy, honey, seasonings like ginger and garlic powder, maybe some sesame oil, whatever I have around, it tends to work out, and it tends to work out just fine. I'm also sure that the way that I prepare stir fries are not in any way traditional, but they are definitely tasty, and I do find that there's something that we tend to go for when the fridge is getting a bit bare, because it's a great way to add flavor in a frugal way to a meal that everybody can now eat. Of course, we will serve this over rice. Noodles are just as delicious, but I find rice is very easy and cheap to cook on the stove there. And then anybody who is particularly fussy can just have some rice and beef. For example, I have one child who will not eat the cabbage, so that's fine. She can just have beef over rice. Now, the way that I prepare it is just to brown off this thinly sliced chuck very quickly. I would not have cooked this for longer than 2 or 3 minutes. Then remove it from the pan, and I haven't actually seasoned that with any sauce yet. Then I'm just going to pop the cabbage back into that pan, and once that has wilted down nicely, cooked through that shredded cabbage, that's when I'm going to add the stir-fry sauce and the beef back in the pan. And as I say, there's no real recipe or technique. There's nothing special I'm doing here, but I think it is such a lovely way to use up those long, stable veggies that you have languishing in the bottom of the fridge right before shopping day, and a lovely way to turn cheap steak cuts into a tasty meal that everybody's satisfied with. It may not be the prettiest dish in the world, but it is good, honest, nourishing food that takes just a few ingredients that I can keep to hand and some of my pantry essentials like soy sauce and those yummy seasonings and all that kind of thing. So we have spent some time just putting our fencing infrastructure in with the electric wire there, and basically we're cutting off a huge portion of the property that would be kept as, you know, as a lawn to mow with a ride-on mower or by hand. And definitely we're enjoying having the cows in there. They can also graze under the fruit trees. They can fertilize that a bit, if you know what I mean. And they can eat down the grass in definitely a more natural, organic way than I could manage on the ride-on. I am someone who always feels bad about mowing because I know that especially around the water tanks and in the corners under the trees, there is, you know, its own little ecosystem is going on in the lawn there. So there will be frogs hiding in the long grass, and there are so many insects and other creatures that are just getting along there and doing good things for the soil and growing the soil microbes and getting everything nice and healthy. So the least mowing that I can do, that we can do in our property, is the better as far as I'm concerned. So with the cattle grazing in there, they will keep things down for a while, and then we will try to rotate them around and keep everything as best we can, staying on top of the grass and using that grass in a way that turns into milk and meat, which is really what we're aiming for here. Then afternoon tea time always rolls around, of course, and it was lovely to have this slice ready to go and just have a bit of a, I don't know, maybe an old-fashioned afternoon tea with a nice sweet slice and also just a pot of hot chocolate here, because I think that that is good all year round. Now we are in the last days of the school holidays here. It won't be long before we are fitting in multiple activities, running around, being on an external schedule a lot more than we are now. And I have to admit, it can be a time where a little bit of anxiety can creep into my thoughts, because I think, how on earth am I going to fit the extra schooling, the extra activities outside the home, the extra driving, as well as everything that we're doing now? But you know what? It always does end up flowing better than we planned or anticipated for. I mean, holidays are holidays. We all need them, that rest, the mind, body, and soul. But if we didn't put in the work with the rest of the year, we really wouldn't appreciate it as much as we do when we get to have a break, would we? So here we go, 2026 school year starting, and I hope your planning or whatever is coming up for you in the months to come is going well as well. So thanks for joining me today as I go about cooking for my family. I really do appreciate your company. And if you've enjoyed this content, please do like or comment or subscribe and let me know you're here. Bye.